So, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure again to be here and talk to you. And I hope that you have enjoyed the last session where I was talking about the equation of life, equation of beautiful life. So, what we are going to do, I have also invited a friend of mine, a peer from the industry, Dennis, to be here at the end of my discussion and the talk and the presentation. Dennis will join me in kind of a conversation and we can field some questions along with our discussion with Dennis and the team. So that is how Dennis is there with us. So the agenda here today is, I'm quickly going to recap the session, what we did. I'm not going to run the whole presentation last time. We don't have that kind of time with us. Then I'm going to talk about success. I personally believe success does not translate into happiness. So we talk about that. And how our team, how young generation, how we as a community and professionals and people are going into the age of discontent. So that is where I'm going to talk about, mainly about our psychological issue in terms of challenging times like what we have in terms of COVID, as well as also in terms of the kind of pressure we take and the kind of stress we take in our day-to-day activity. And Jatin, can you just confirm whether my voice is fine or not? Last time it was a challenge.
Yeah, Shashiji, there is still some issue. I mean, your voice is coming clear, but I think because of the network, it is cracking in between. So maybe if there is anything can be done.
Okay, I hope to be more clearer. Yeah, so I'm actually running on the backup power. The light just went out and it is... So some issues are there. I hope I can...
Jatin, it's all well, Jatin. We can hear.
Yes, so please go ahead.
Thank you. And then I'm going to talk about the how our brain, our mind is not on our side of happiness. We have, our DNA has not changed for last 200,000 years. And whatever mind structure has been prepared, it's prepared based on the flight, fight, and freeze kind of scenarios. So we'll discuss about that. And finally, I'm going to take you to what it takes actually to be happy. What are things we can do? And the end note is all about science and very close to my heart, where science, I personally believe, is a systematic study of spirituality. I'm going to try to connect the spiritual processes, what has been designed over the last 2,000 to 5,000 years back, and how science is studying it and bringing the spirituality and how spirituality and science are coming together to make us happy. So this is what we're going to do. So welcome to Monday Motivation, and this is my second session, and we hope to connect with all of you every week and try to discuss and learn from each other how we can stay connected, engaged, and involved in this kind of difficult times. So here we go. So now, as I discussed, the equation of life last time is all about subject matter expertise, application, and learning, which we do continuous through our professional life, leads to leadership. And as Dennis asked last time, focus, perseverance, and awareness makes up for passion. And when passion and leadership comes together, synergize it, it creates success. However, success in itself is not going to create a beautiful life where the happiness has to come and join together. That's how, in my opinion, we have a life of fulfillment. But as I said last time, and I left it at this point of time, but the most difficult life skill to learn is to be happy. And I think we are going to discuss that. I personally believe the happiness is a very, very deep subject. It has a lot of involvement, and mainly it works on our inner self rather than outer self. So we can sometimes at a very superficial level, we can get jealousy and other discontent and stress because our neighbor has a bigger house and he's got 3 more cars than you. But I'm probably not going to touch upon the basic living, the room of your own. I'm not going to touch upon the way you are going to live, room of your own financial security. But after those financial security, of course,
Is it me who is just getting the silence, or Shashi is there?
No, I think Shashi's.
I think we lost him.
Yeah, we lost him.
Okay.
Just check our phone, Jatin.
Yeah, just checking.
sorry, I just got disconnected. I'm just trying to come together again. If you can hear me, this is from a mobile.
Yes, we can. Yes. One second, Shashi, you are on mute.
I'm just quickly connecting with my laptop. It will be on now.
Okay.
Can Jatin, you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes.
Sorry for these challenges. I'm so sorry. I told you that there was a power cut, and that's how. Am I audible now?
Pretty much, yes.
So let's discuss this, how you can happy. I hope you are able to see my screen. And I've just put these 2 pictures. I'm sure that all of you would be knowing these 2 people. The idea of putting these 2 gentlemen here is to say that they're very successful people, but I'm not very sure they are also very happy people. However, if you compare to what I'm going to say, show you next, are these people. In my opinion, these are the wonderful human beings and wonderful gentlemen, very successful people. And they have the inner happiness because that is the inner state they are coming from. And the beauty of all these people, what I'm showing you here, of course, there's a Narayan Murthy, Azim Premji, and Tatas. I'm going to show you a very interesting interaction with 2 gentlemen on the right, on the left, which was quite popular and it was on the social media a lot, which goes on to prove the basic element and the nature of being happiness is mainly very powerful 2 emotions, 2 feelings. That is humility and empathy. And when I saw this picture, and it was quite popular on social media, it goes on to say these gentlemen how humble these people are, and the humility what Mr. Narayan Murthy has, and the empathy what they have for each other as well as for the. So you know that the Tatas have given a lot of humanitarian support in terms of COVID. They have also have raised the lifetime employment to people. So these 2 points, which probably I'm touching upon as the basic element of happiness. This I'm not. This is something which is, culmination of all that we do. And that comes from this whatever we do in terms of connection, in terms of social, relationship, bonding, love, care, everything boils down to these two elements, which ultimately makes you happy. And that's the real inner bliss, I would call, comes from these two characteristics. Now, so having said that, I personally believe we are heading towards a generation where the attention deficit is there. We don't, okay, so I'm not going to, generalize and judge, but what I'm really trying to say that we have got so many things around us, so many things we are doing all around us, that it is leading to a lot of, superficial interaction, which ultimately leads to, stress, because we are not very, I'm going to show you later in the presentation that 46.9%, we are, not focused on what we do. All our waking hours, 46.9%, we are wandering, we are not focused. And all these issues are leading to the ADHD, anxiety, depression, temper problems. All these things are happening because we are not trying to, the way we exercise our, physical being, we don't exercise our mental being, our minds. And that's the problem we are going to face and we are facing. Now, here's this gentleman. I don't know how many of you know this gentleman. He's very successful. He's Leo Tolstoy, very successful, Nobel laureate. And he was very, popular and written such a beautiful books. But at the fag end of his life, he started feeling, what is this life all about? He went to a serious clinical depression, and he has an issue, and for that he suffered medically. And then as the thinker he was, he said, okay, let me figure out why I'm depressed and what is the reason why I'm here and why I'm not happy. So he figured out and he went around, talked to multiple friends and peers and relationship around himself. And he tried to find what is the reason for not being happy, why he is not happy. So he went around his friends. So first he said, okay, why other people are happy and what is that one thing that makes them happy. So he categorized in 4 different people. One is, there were kind of people who were just ignorant. As they say, ignorance is bliss. They were just ignorant and they were not bothered about all these kind of processes and thinking. What is happiness and what are they? They just went about their job, daily life without even thinking. And then there were people, Epicureanism, they just frustrated. The life is hopelessness of life. And whatever in that situation, whatever advantage they can have, they use that advantage to, kind of be happy in terms of, material terms or, food or whatever. Then there were people who are destroyed. There were very strong people in his, circle who were actually very strong. And he's like, okay, this is not the way I want to live. This is not the way I'm going to do. So they destroyed. And many of them actually committed suicide because they were just not very happy. And the fourth people were just weak. He says, Tolstoy says, they're weak. They knew all this, but they didn't have the strength to take the matters into their hands, fight, flight or suicide, and they were not do. And all these 4 categories where he categorized, then he realized, okay, other people, the people who were working in the farm, whenever he used to walk around his garden, whenever he was to go to his farm, he's got a huge farm around his castle house. And he saw everybody very happy. And then he said, okay, what is their reason for happiness? And he came up with the thought that simple living is their way of happiness. They knew that they have got whatever they have got, and that's what they are going to have, and they were content with that. They didn't doubt about their life. They say, okay, this is what I've got and this is what I'm going to do and this is the way I'm going to live. And that contentment made them happy. So you see this beautiful girl here, and this picture I took in Delhi. Most of the people in Delhi will know that next to Mayur Vihar is a Yamuna River. And the banks of a Yamuna River, there were many small hutments and all these things are there. So the next 3-4 pictures, I took the photograph there, and this girl, just see the happiness in this girl, eyes and the smile. They didn't have anything. I spent almost on a week there going and doing something, teaching them or something. But all these people were very happy. And that's what I could connect with what Tolstoy felt. So nothing was there. And this girl has got a kajal in her eyes. And it is not a makeup. But the kind of contemplation in her face, she was not worried. And it is not only this small kids, the whole family, they were quite happy about the way they were living and the way they could live their life day to day. Second thing, what was very important, which Tolstoy said, was they had faith. And that's a very important point. Faith and hope. These are the two things which will take you throughout your life, will make you happy. If you have that faith and you have the hope. And that is where when Tolstoy bugged out and he said, okay, once he arrived to this situation of faith and hope, then he kind of reconciled with his own thought process. He's a very great thinker. He reconciled with his own thought process of his reason to live. And then finally he said, excuse me. Finally he said, the faith is the kind of knowledge that makes a human life happy. So I could get that because I have seen this, experience that in those particular, places. And now I come to the real thing. The Tolstoy contemplated all this and accepted the fact of life in terms of hope and faith. But there is a very important study done by Harvard study, done for adult development, started from 1938, 75 years, 724 people they chose. And every year they got back to them and asked them certain questions, try to find where they're going and what's happening with their life. This they did for 75 years. And the director, the particular person I did, he's the fourth director. And it was fortunate that this study could have been completed and still going on. They completely, and of course, they were from some of the people from Harvard and some of the downtown. So it was not that only they took care of the people who were rich, who were educated. They also went downtown. They also find out the life of the people who are going to be from very simple families, poor families. And they did the study for 75 years. And after 75 years, in 2012, sometime, I'm not sure about the date, they gave 2 results of this study. And they could find there are so many people. Even now they're saying that 96 people are still alive. And they're taking, they're going on with question. Ultimately, 2 or 3 decades back, they also added their wife. And they did the study not only for the particular person, they also did the study, asked them question. They went to their house, asked the question with family and connected the school, colleges, profession, what they're doing. And after all this, they came up with 2 results, which is very powerful for us to understand. And this is the important aspect. At the end of all this thing, they realize social connections, what we have as a friends. At the end of the day, the kind of friends we have, the kind of family we have. And these are the only powerful things that makes a person happy. It makes you healthy. It makes you live long. Actually, there was a study which said that if you're lonely, and this is the second point that they brought, loneliness kills 5 years. If you're lonely, and 76% of the middle-aged population in the US say that they are lonely. And this is 5 years, takes a life 5 years less than any other type of people. And the third very important point, good relationship does not protect our bodies, it also protects our brains. And that's where I'm going to take forward this study. So 3 very important from 724 lives, 75 years of studies, says only one thing: make friends, make connection. And this is, I'm so happy to be a part of GACS, Global Association for Corporate Services, where we did this engagement every day because we wanted to be connected. We wanted to be, talk to each other and talk to, engage people. So that is the social connection we're talking about. Community services, another great example of doing things which will make you happy. So I will not talk more because it's my personal favorite topic, but I will not go deeper into this. Let me come back to the next part. Happiness is not a function of wealth. I have given the previous, the first slide. Wealth does not make you happy. And I don't think that lack of wealth also makes you happy. But yes, till a certain level, you need wealth because you need that financial security. You have duty towards your family, friends, and social circle. So for that, you need money. So basically, you need 4 days, food for your table. But happiness is a function of love. That is the connection you have, compassionate and caring. And this, and it's sad to see that we don't focus on these points. And I'm going to, in the end, I'm going to talk about very simple ways how you are going to, use this very simple techniques to be, connected. We all love each other, but we don't reach out. This is an inhibition, given in our genes. We are not very, open to each other. We judge. It takes only 2 seconds for us to judge a person. It's automatic. It is in our genes. And we judge and we don't connect. So these 3 important aspects has to be there. So now let me ask you a question. And this is a very important study was done where they send a text. These 3 important questions are sent as a text. What you're doing right now. So now all of you are here in the presentation. I hope that you are all hearing me. What is on your mind right now? Of course, I believe and presume that on your mind is love, compassion, and caring, and how to be happy. And the third question, probably you can answer me if Jatin or Dennis can open up. And how happy or unhappy you are. So if you can just give me a thumbs up, that will be this. So these 3 questions were sent to most of study group, and only sending this, you take down these 3 questions, and if you just send this to your friends, these 3 questions alone will make that person stop in whatever they're doing to connect better. And that's where I'm also trying to connect with you. Mind, we can train our mind to be happy. And that's where I'm going to do. But brain is not made for that. Brain is always about, as I said, brain is always about negative bias. It is always about what is going to harm me, how you are going to get the food. But this was the consideration in far larger context when we were living in Africa and savannas, where we need to hunt, where we need to fight. But now in this present modern condition, that probably has taken a slightly back seat. However, we are still doing that, how to put the food on table. But this flight, fight, and freeze question is not there, but it is in the basic DNA of our mind that first thing it has negative bias. What this guy is going to do, what is going to happen to me, is it good for me or not? That is so this 3 questions was asked just to connect. And if you just send this text or WhatsApp these 3 questions to people, and that will stop them in middle of track, because the brain is not trying to be happy during the day. The brain is actually trying to survive the day. That is the problem, and that's where I'm coming from. Any questions, Dennis, like to, or it's okay?
Yes, sir. Fine. I just had one small query. In fact, the previous slide where you were saying, where you are a couple of previous slides where you are saying that happiness is your choice, and faith is there, then there Harvard study and all those kind of things. Now, do we have, maybe it's a very weird question, but how do we measure what is that? How are you contented? How are you happy? How is that measured? So when, obviously it is very subjective when you say happiness, but there must be some kind of a standard, a kind of a benchmark, or how do you content yourself, or how do you measure your own happiness or measure your own success? Or success, definitely is a third party measure, but however, how an individual, as an individual, how do you think that there could be some kind of a measure or some kind of a benchmark?
Yes, Dennis, again, interesting question. And I think our science has cracked it. So, of course, I will not be able to measure and you will not be able to measure until the guy is jumping out of his house without clothes. But science has done, MRI scans are being used so beautifully now that actually it can check. There are 4 neurotransmitters which secretes in the brain, which colors the brain or activity. And it's very easily measured, and they have done it. So there is a study done on 82,000 scans, how to be, whether you are happy or not. So if you see on the left-hand side, the colored portions, so you can actually measure. So it is already cracked it, whether you are happy or not. Now the depth of happiness and what is, bringing that out is also been, mapped. So that's what they're doing. So this is a measurable, but not to the extent that, okay, you're 90% happy or you're 80% happy. You're happy or not can be measured. And so basically what happens when in the medulla, the first brain stem, the middle stem, that is where the stress hormones get released if you're stressed. So you can measure that, whether you're stressed or not. So this stress hormones, or the, what they call oxytocin or something, I don't remember. But when that is released, it shows that there is a stress, which can be physical, which can be mental, which can also be, so mentally also it gets released, not only in terms of the cut or in terms of physical damage. So that is measured. Now the question about the wealth and all, this is all subjective. Some people can be happy with X amount of money, some people be 100X amount of money. So that is something. So the science is already working on it very deeply, and this is being measured. And most of the things what I'm talking here comes from those researches. And having said that, the happiness project, what they've done for 724 people, that is not about the measuring. That is the finding the people why they were able to live 90 years, and why they were, kind of a happy, the kind of social circle they had, whether the general trend of the success and the reason for those success. So that was not a physical scientific study in terms of the MRI scan and all, but it was seeing a whole life of a person and trying to figure out, okay, what was the reason. And they figured out the reason is basically the social circle, the way they were having. And that's loneliness. The lack of loneliness was their method of success. I hope that answers a little bit.
Yes, Shashiji. Yes, it's fine. But I just wanted to, I'm sorry, this is not a question answer session, but I just wanted to add on to you when you say happiness, when you were also mentioning about comparison and all those things. How do you relate happiness or success or content and all those things to Charles Darwin's theory of survival of the fittest? Because what happens is survival of the fittest is something which is bringing in a kind of a competition in each and every individual to survive. So how do you then, match both of these?
So I have got a theory about this Charles Darwin theory of survival of the fittest. That when we hit the, industrial era, industrial revolution, that theory is gone now. Now it has become only the economic theory which works. So survival, as I'm saying, and that's the reason why we are having this negative bias. 200,000 years back, what our brain was designed is not actually working out now, because the rules have changed. The rules of the games have changed. Earlier, it was all about, survival of fittest in terms of hunting, gathering, fight, flight, or freeze. So that rules have changed. So this modernization, what is happening, and that is what is actually adding into a lot of stress within ourselves, because our mind is not able to take that up. Mind is not able to work out, because our basic instinct to run, if threatened. But when you are threatened in a boardroom, you don't run. There's a very different type of actions and things are done at that point of time. So Charles Darwin has done an amazing job and he has given all the answers. But this is my personal opinion, that survival of the fittest has changed. The game has changed. The rules of the games have changed. That's what I personally believe.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so now this is what actually, and thanks because it brings to the baggage what we are carrying. This is what exactly I'm talking about. Our DNA, no change has happened to our mind or our DNA 200,000 years ago. So basically, we are the same person, we are the same thing, and this is what we bring to the table in terms of our mind, and that's what we are trying to work out. How brain is really not going to be happy. For certain biases, it already has the negative bias, because the moment we see a person, is a threat perception. So if if somebody, you're having a barbecue, and on your fence is somebody with a big, spear and distilled hairs and kind of animal skin wearing, and drops into say to your barbecue party, you will not invite. It takes 0.3 milliseconds for us to judge a person. So you will not invite. So now this kind of biases the mind already has, because it was very good when we were living in Africa and savanna jungles, right? You need to have a quick decision, go away, run or fight. But this is not happening now. And this is exactly what I was telling you, Dennis. The second important thing is that our waking hours, 46% we don't even focus. Our minds are not there. So you see, if you're reading a book, and then finally, after reading 4 or 5 pages, you realize what you are reading, you forget about it, because your mind is wandering. And this wandering of mind creates a lot of stress in terms of connectivity, in terms of awareness. So, sorry. And basically, the brain is not, this negative bias basically is coming from that age. Now, having said that, we are also very phobic center. A very interesting thing is that the moment, if you could see a snake and, and then you are just watching and the snake comes and bites you, that creates a completely phobic state. And that takes 2 minutes for you to take the mind the pathways of the mind become so focused that it becomes a phobia. And that's how the minds are trained. So you can create a brain path in terms of fear, which is very easy. Brain is not conducive to the happiness, because becoming happiness is not that kind of a strong, reaction. We are basically phobic centered. And brain is not about being happy. Brain is all about being surviving the day, the year, the financial situation, all that. So brain basically is not on our side. So what it takes, and that's the point I'm trying to make, Dennis and the team here, is basically you can change your mind. Anyone can change your mind. Just quickly. And the foremost important thing to make a mind, that's exactly what Tolstoy was talking about, the sense of purpose. That sense of purpose, if you have, for whatever you're doing, in day-to-day job, if you're just living, in kind of a doldrum, you're not going to be happy. So you have to have a sense of purpose. And in the last discussion I talked about, sense of purpose comes from your profession. It also comes from your passion. So if you can connect this profession and passion, your sense of purpose can come. And this meta-awareness is very crucial for that real transformation to occur in your mind to be happy. So if you have this complete awareness about your sense of purpose in terms of passion, profession, your expertise, that transformation in terms of happiness. The same point is kind of connected, and we, with every connection, with every interaction, we make connection which is stronger pathways. So just like you see, just like, you know, in a mountain, when it's raining, in the beginning, the rain comes and falls and goes in very different ways. But continuously, when it starts raining, it finds pathways. And that's how our mind works. So suppose you want to have that pathway, so it turns into a stream, it turns a river, it turns into a lake ultimately. Now, this can be done. And that's how, you know, the mind can be trained to create a pathway of happiness and insight. Every one of us basically talk within ourselves and mostly about negative things about us, because we are not very comfortable. You know, we are not very sure, we are not very confident. So this negative bias within ourselves. So any task, first thing which our mind does, now that is where it has to change. These three important things, if you focus, you can change. And though there are ways to do this, and this is a 5-3-2. Well, a very simple rules. So, you know, I'm trying to do. So on the left hand side, the tennis. I can ask you a question. I hope. On the left hand side, there's a water, a drop of water. If I ask you, how can you save this drop of water from drying up? What? You want to save this drop of water. Now, what do you think? What are the ways you can think of? Any other people, if they can write on chat box.
Maybe put a container underneath that.
Yeah. Wonderful answer, by the way. It's a Chinese drink. Captain Saab, thank you. Wonderful. Yes, you know, progeny and drink, and it goes to the next life. So that's a far better answer than, you know, I was thinking. But yes, you can save the drop of water from drying up if you take it to the sea. It will never dry. You know? And that's a very beautiful Chinese proverb, and that's where I'm coming from. You know, if you have that kind of, you can take any relation and bring it to your own social, your own heart, go away if you're focused. And that's a very wonderful 5-3-2 rule. You know, it's a very simple rule how to, you know, be happy. And you know, you were talking about this earlier, that what is the measurement of happiness? What is the measurement? You know, the most beautiful measure of happiness or successful life I can think of, how many good friends you have. So if you have life, wake up in, and it's a very practical thing to do. When you wake up in the morning, and before your feet hits the floor, the carpet, think of 5 people. 5 people who you are very grateful to, who are your very good friends. The top 5 people. Think of them, and then bring that happiness or the, you know, interaction. Just think about when you met first time, and what kind of things you're doing. And those 5 things, if you do, it will change the way your mind starts working. It will create a pathway for happiness. These 5 people will make the day for you, actually. Just those 5 people. Think about them. Your wife, your son, your friends, whoever. The second important thing during the day, that is the 3 rule. In the middle, when you're actually kind of down and you're busy with the things and your mind starts to wander, that is the time when you pick up 3 people. Either you call them or think about them, just think. 3 minutes. That's all it needs for you to get back on the highway of happiness. In the middle, when your mind is not fully focused, bring that. And the 2 rule is very important tool when you go back to home. See, the thing is, your wife is sitting next to you, and suddenly what happens that an old friend, childhood friend, walks into the room, So your attention is not going to be with your wife because an old childhood friend is there, and then your focus for the next 1 hour or so will be on that person, right? Because of the novelty. And if you can bring this novelty from the morning when you walked out of house and when you went back to home, if you bring this novelty, I have not met these people for 8 hours. And if you can really believe in that, and when you go back to home, and if you can think like that, you will bring a lot of happiness into your life. And before walking to all your emails, check all your things before you walk in, because I don't want you guys to, when you're hugging your child and watching the email on your mobile. So clear all that before you get into that. So gratitude, creative praise, don't judge are the things what you need to do every day to be happy. And then this is the science I'm talking about, neurogenesis. It is, most of people don't know. It is all, most of people have this, kind of a doubt or misconception that the brain does not get renewed. We make 700 brain cells every day. In 50 years' time, we have renewed our complete brain. So this 700 neurons works in the middle of the brainstem and get created, 700 every day. Now, this has been proven to be done, proven by research that it can be done by actively participating. So that is the way. So I can give you example of doing anything with awareness and fullness. So meditation is one very great thing to do that creates that. And then final thing I'm talking in terms of creating a brain chain is environment. Of course, the environment works a lot with you. In that, what you eat has an impact. And a very interesting thing on this, eat what you have, resveratrol. So, alcohol is known to, help dying the, destroy the brain cells. But the good news is that if you take wine, resveratrol is supposed to add to that. So that's a good news there. And the other thing, fasting is very good for creating the new brain cells. So these are things if you can focus and bring to the work within your system, it will work. Now, coming to the science is nothing but the systematic study of spirituality. And that's all it proves. The neural predisposition. So if you see the spider and a donut, you will reach out for donut, right? You will run away from spider. However, it is known that the spider is not going to harm you as much as the donut will be. Because we are already with donut because of the dense caloric value it has. Again, the nature comes from our evolution. And hedonic adaptation, basically it means that once we start living with family and friends and other people, we tend to get to overlook them. The third important thing, positive action, not thoughts. We are very good in thinking. We are all very good in thinking, but we are very bad in creating a positive action. So work on that positive action and love, empathize, care, and help. Very important because it actually directly has a profound effect on your blood pressure, heart rate. It also boosts your immune system and it's proven, it is researched. And finally, meditate. So why I'm trying to relate it with the spirituality is that all this we have been talking all along. Now the science is coming up with the studies to prove that, and all this will make you happy. And that's the way it is. So thank you very much. Happiness is still that can be learned. Dennis, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks so much for your insight on different facets of happiness and success, content, and I know this if this starts, it probably can take longer time to really get involved, and it's quite interesting, scientifically proved, spiritually proved, and at different levels. Although it is all very subjective, but still it is quite interesting to know that there's so much, so much ingredients are there for being an happy individual. So that's nice. Anyway, I did ask you in between about this, measure of happiness and success and all those kind of things. But you also mentioned something about simple living. So I just wanted to, find out from you, when you say simple living, a lot of people take this simple living, at least as far as I know, there are a lot of people who take simple living is okay, shirt एकदम अच्छा प्रेस करके रखना चाहिए, पैंट पहनना चाहिए, शूज पहनना चाहिए, सॉक्स पहनना चाहिए, चश्मा क्लीन रहना चाहिए, है नहा, मतलब बाल अच्छे रहने चाहिए. This is what people say, that simple. So this is what people feel, that okay, this is simplicity and all those things. But I just wanted to understand, when you say simple living, what does it basically mean? What are the ingredients? How do you say that this is what is a simple living?
Okay, so okay, I'll not quote Mahatma Gandhi and other people who have done the simple living to the core. So basically, simple living in my terms, I'm not telling you that simple living is all about having one shirt, one kurta, one dhoti, one chattai in the hut what you're living. I'm not there. But simple living is very clearly defined by, in fact, in the Tolstoy's Peasant Life. So simple living is living with the flow. So, it's just like a river. So the river, the flow is there, and you are bounded by two banks. So basically, you're not fighting against all the limitation what you have all around you. And you are just going through in a very smooth and flow way. So you're not actively trying to do something which is not in your path, which is not in the way of your goal. You are not unnecessarily doing things which is not conducive to the place where you're going. Having said that, that does not mean that if you have to become a real estate head, then you don't do the courses what you need to do. But the limitation is given, so don't fight against those walls. As I told last time, there's a wall, you can't push it. So don't do that. And that's basically is what simple living is all about. Contentment is another very important aspect in terms of simple living. You can aspire to have a Ferrari in house, but basically you need the four wheels to go from point 1 or point A to point B. Aspiration is fine, lust is not. And that's where the simple living takes a completely divergent road. So I personally believe the simple living is the way of life in a very smooth way, in terms of without any distraction, without any lust. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Yes, sir. So, but sir, now since we're all working, sorry.
Dennis, I just want to quickly give one very thing I forgot to mention. So I showed this last Science of Spirituality. Why I showed this three, namaz, Christian prayers, and mantra chanting. It's a very simple, I call it micro movements. This is something which was very interesting for me to note, that only by moving your fingers, you create a very different, definitive pathways for happiness. So just imagine all this is happening without us knowing this in terms of science. But now science has come back saying that when you do this thing, or when you do the micro movement of your hands, it actually creates a pathway for happiness. So I missed that very important point. And that's how I connected science with spirituality. Sorry, Dennis, go ahead.
Thank you. No, I just had one more last question. Now we are all working for corporates, or maybe some of us are probably entrepreneurs and having their own establishment and all those things. Now, I'm trying to mix up multiple things, because you have said happiness, then you said upgradation, then you said that just now you said real estate. Okay, probably you'll have to, upskill yourself and things like that. Now, adding on to this, all those things, all of them, many of us are head of departments, many of us are senior members, many of us probably, no, of course, we would have grown from a very, bottom of the pyramid. But when in a corporate world, when we say happiness, contented, and we ourselves feel we are all successful, how do we relate all those things? Like say it always happens. Say for example, there is a networking session which is happening for our congregation, and we are all meeting, and then suddenly we exchange or say, okay, fine, he is a head of a department of a large organization. Then there is one another guy who is head of a department for a smaller organization. Now there is always a comparison. Now, at the same time, if you look at, say, for example, for an opportunity into a different organization, how do maybe I am going little deeper or little diverted from your topic into HR, recruitment, and all those things, because I wanted to create a kind of platform where we find out all those things. And there the recruitment guy says, no, you are head of department for a very, very small organization. There is not much of an opportunity. You will not be suitable, and all those kind of things. I'm just telling you in the context of what we are working now. How do we derive happiness or content or success and all those things? And that is the reason why I brought in the point of survival of the fittest, wherein it is not only, you mentioned, yes, it is during the industrial time, but it is basically a science of evolution, that how a human is getting evolved. So there are so many things which are mixed up here. So how does a person be still at whatever level he is and be motivated? That is my question.
So, whatever I understood, that how we can be happy if we lose our job. That is the nutshell thing you're talking about, right?
Not exactly lose our job, but
okay.
When we compare ourselves, maybe a person of my age or my qualification is doing very well. He's a big man or something like that in a bigger organization. Of course, skills keeping apart, but I'm just.
So what I was saying, Dennis, and that's where I'm coming from. So as I said in the beginning, that leadership skills, subject matter expertise, learning, and application is what gets you the job. And that leadership skill is there, and people are doing that without being happy. So, you can, if you focus 10,000 hours and do anything, you will be expert. So the job or, getting involved in a professional way to a larger or smaller organization is the derivative of your own hard work, of your professional skill. And that does not mean that you are going to be happy or not. So it does not connect there. Having said that, of course, success in terms of your own work definitely adds a lot into, the happiness quotient. Definitely is more than 50% or something. But it being said that you cannot relate it with the people who are not having job or not having a good job is not happy. So you can't do this way. So happiness per se is totally unrelated to what you are doing day to day. It is a mindset. Happiness is all about the mind. How the mind takes it is basically your reaction to the stimuli, external stimuli. And that's where I'm coming from. And Captain Rajesh has got a hand raised. I hope, Dennis, that answers your question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Captain Rajesh, sir. Good evening. Captain Saab, you are on mute. Captain Saab, you are on mute.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you, Captain.
Great. Like I have been saying, whenever I share a joke, especially with regards to liquor and all, and taking Jatin's name, he ensures the next day I'm on mute. He does not allow me to speak. I can't help it. Okay. So I think, again, very interesting session, and especially I think topic itself was pretty powerful, and the way you explained, I personally liked it a lot. There are a lot of examples which one can really correlate in life. 2-3 things. I was noticing your photograph, and either you can ensure that you have such long hair that gives that impression we are seriously listening to someone who's like a big scholar type, so that impression comes in. The second one was, obviously I was glad to hear your examples which you're I don't know, you're taking these from your home or you're somewhere outside. First of all, you tell me that.
Which example you're talking about, Captain? There are too many
But
examples.
first you
And
tell
my
me,
wife is,
first you tell me you're at home or you're outside.
I'm at home and my wife is looking at me.
Okay,
And
glad.
she has just listened to the whole thing.
So
I was very careful.
I am so glad that you gave that example, that you have a school friend coming in maybe after so many years, and you, instead of concentrating on your wife, you can afford to probably spend some time with the friend. I don't know, how do you do that? How do you manage that? It's a very tough thing because you don't have a choice. But anyway, but I think that example is pretty powerful, and you're right. A lot of times when we get into that mode. So your last tagline was, happiness is an art which can be learned. My only comment is, after listening to you, it must be learned. That we don't have a choice here. So instead of can, we should start using the word we must learn it, because that's the only way to move forward in life. And especially with the sort of environment we all are going through for last whatever 1 year, I think that's the only suggestion, recommendation I have. But again, a very, 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 very powerful, very, very informative, I think, session. So thank you so much, Shashi.
Thank you very much, Captain. Thank you very much. I think Jatin, Dennis, we have Kulwant has got a raised hand. Jatin, if you can just open one thing.
Yes, tell me.
Yeah, thank you, Jatin, and thank you, Shashi. A very interesting session as usual. I felt I'm talking to you, although I was only listening. One thing, I think we have been all now in very deep thoughts during this pandemic, because outside environment has not allowing you to do much. Some two thoughts which I would like to share with this gathering, like-minded people, which came to my mind on happiness. I've been thinking. One is that I agree with some of the German philosophers I was listening to, that happiness is not a straight line. It doesn't start from one point and ends at the other point. It's only dots. It comes in dots, joins the line and becomes a line eventually. And you can say you are happy or not happy or how much happy. And number two, I think we need to find this happiness. If it is outside, it is in playfulness. If it is inside, it is in meditation. I think we can have this session quite long. We can all give our inputs. So that's the thought which has been going in my mind. I thought I'll just spark a little more things in Shashi and other people's mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Kulwant. Wonderful to hear from you. And yeah, as I said that in the previous, meditation is one of the most powerful techniques to be happy. No doubt about it. And it's been proven scientifically that it helps. 15 minutes of meditation will make you very, very comfortable. Your stress level will go down. So that's something. And we should have a discussion next week. Kulwant, when you're next time in Bangalore.
Sure. And another thing is playfulness. I was watching some videos trying to figure out who else is happy in this universe. And the very first thing comes to my mind is dolphins. So playfulness, I think, is a great thing in being happy. Yeah.
Kulwant, I agree with you.
Which I am missing nowadays, not playing golf with 4 buddies and best one, which is giving you happiness. Thank you.
Thank you, Kulwant. Ajay, you would like to speak something. Ajay, you raised your
hand. Thank you, Shashi. सर, जो आपने अभी एक मिनट सर, जो अभी आपने आज जितनी भी बातें करी हमारे साथ में रिगार्डिंग द हाउ यू कैन हैव योर हैप्पीनेस विद इन योरसेल्फ, सो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीजें हैं जो आपने अपनी स्लाइड्स में शो किया कि हमें हैप्पीनेस कैसे मिलता है, कहाँ से आता है, ब्रेन के थ्रू आता है, या आपने फूड्स के बारे में भी इसमें बात किया, मेंशन किया आपने, लाइक कैलोरी डेंस फूड, लाइक प्रीडिस्पोजिशन, देन प्रोफाउंड इफेक्ट ऑन ब्लड प्रेशर, हार्ट रेट, सब जो हैप्पीनेस है, आप जो न्यूरोट्रांसमीटर्स की आपने, तो I'll just share a medical expert what they share with us, that आपका हैप्पीनेस वाला जो हार्मोन है सेरोटोनिन, 90% of this production happens in your gut, in your stomach. जो आपको खुशी देता है, आपको हैप्पीनेस फील कराता है. So we have to be very careful what we are having in our body, what we are eating, हम क्या खा रहे हैं. तो उसका सीधा इफेक्ट आपके भावों से होता है, जो आपके हैप्पीनेस है, फीलिंग सैड. So these things, अगर आपका सेरोटोनिन नहीं बन रहा है, डोपामाइन बने, कॉर्टिसोल बनेगा, and it will give you sadness. So we have to be very careful. And we'll come up
Yeah, Ajay, I agree with you on that.
Sessions regarding your happiness on your brain, your gut, how it affects gut-brain axis. So great session, Shashidhar. Thanks a lot, sir.
Ajay, I agree with you. Thank you very much. I agree with you. Food is a very important aspect of creating happiness because of the chemical reaction, but also very important aspect which we have known for ages, thousands and thousands of years, is the fasting. And that's what I pointed out here. Fasting is also very important aspect of that. Thank you very much. Dennis, anybody else?
Nice, sir.
Yes,
Nothing
sir.
from my end.
Sir, Awas again.
Awas, sir. How are you, sir?
Fine, sir. Wonderful. I mean, absolutely, like I second what Captain Sir said. It was really excellent session, and you have really opened up minds. And what I feel, which has been already talked in our Vedant and all those things for years, Ashtanga Yoga and all those things, is all related to all the processes in entire day, right from your mental health, physical health, and everything. If all things are not in collaboration with each other, then I personally feel the happiness index will be very low. And I think today, Corona and this particular pandemic has taught us a lot. Believe me, I think from childhood we used to know about pranayam, we know about it helps lungs, it adds oxygen. But we only realize importance of oxygen when it was missing in cylinders. When whoever has gone through this corona infection like me, especially getting hospitalized and getting into ICU, I will never forget a thing called oxygen. And henceforth, I promise I will be doing all those things like what you explained last time also, because they go hand in hand. There is not one aspect. Company around you, your friends, your family, your culture, your reading, everything go hand in hand. And I think we should talk about happiness index rather than happiness as a single term. I think that's my suggestion from I think my experience.
Awesome, wonderful thought. And happiness index is already there. And Finland is the country which does it. And we have Bhutan as a happiness gross national product. So that the people are getting aware about all this. So I'm sure that going forward, and COVID has brought this in a very complete contrast with the way we are living. And it's going to change the way we look at it. In fact, my thought is that our health system is not geared towards wellness. It's actually geared towards illness. That's the problem, what we have. So that is where we need to change, and things are changing. And I have Ela raising her hand. Ela.
Thank you, sir.
Ela,
hi everyone. Yeah, I'm there. Hi Shashi. It's really a pleasure to listening you. I always imagine कि कभी मुझे time मिलेगा to listen you. It is a wonderful session you had given to so many people. So hi everyone. I'm Dr. Gupta here. I would just like to add like a bread on a butter. Like Shashi is talking about the happiness index and how to be happy. But there is certain one more point I would like to make it clear. How do we know that we are happy? Everyone is doing work according to their schedule. Everyone is doing yoga. Everyone is doing meditation nowadays. Everyone is eating very healthy food. But then too, how do we come to know? So it just 2 minutes. It will more add on this session. Keep on asking in a month, about yourself कि क्या मैं चिंतित हूँ? I'm a little worried about the small things. If yes, or if it is more than 60%, that means you are not unhappy, because sometimes we are not able to decide whether we are or whether we are not. We are always in a confusion state. We start keeping mum more, means quiet. We are not answering. We are not participating in the conversation. Communication is less. We are start getting angry on a small issues. We are trying to talk in a very different manner, maybe a rude, one can say. We always blame ourselves. We have become a center of attraction. Yes, because of me, this is happened, no matter where we are, at home or at a work site. We are not organized. We are not ready to accept the reality. We are not able to judge our time or to manage. And we are not able to connect with our family. So these are the small questions. If from these questions, if we get around 70% answer no, that means we are unhappy, and we should start working what Shashi has just told in such a beautiful manner. That is what I wanted to add on. Thank you, friends. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ela. It's wonderful to hear you, and you yourself take a lot of psychiatric classes. So wonderful to hear you. And yes, I agree. And that's why I just put this up. This question, 3 question, which I said that there's a particular thing, and I've asked all of you to write these questions, text it to your friends once in a while, and check, because this question needs to be asked to be happy. Thank you very much, Dr. Ela. And Mr. Sadanand Deshmukh has raised his hand. So,
hi, sir. Can you hear me? Hello.
Hi,
can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay. Yes, I can hear you, but yes.
Yeah. So my question is that I heard, or maybe like I read that humans use one part of brain most of the times. However, in the happiness, is there any way to use both side of the brains? And my another question, like recently I read that the Finland country is the happiest country in the world. So where we are in terms of in that as a India. So,
thank you very much, Sadanji. In terms of happiness index, we are 136 out of 146. So that's there for you. So, okay. But those happiness index has been created on a various different parameters. So we cannot probably check that out in that sense. So I will not discuss this because that's not my prerogative and I don't want to go there. Having said that, the other question what you asked about the 2 sides of brain. Okay, so brain, as I said last time in our discussion, that brain works on 2 languages. One is the logic, the other is language. And that's if you compare ourselves to the mind as a CPU, which is kind of a wet CPU, has already been taken in the science. Mind is a wet CPU computer. But this 2 aspects of creative side and the logical side adds, same kind of, when you do the CT scan, I've seen so many of them during my research and during my various discussions. It does not really relate to happiness, does not come from any one of those. It is overall comes from the basic thing. So it lights up everywhere. So there's no particular correlation with the left-hand side brain and the right-hand side brain, which is used for, the creativity and the logical part of personality.
Okay.
I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Much appreciated. Thank you.
And another important point, sorry, Shashi, another important point, that this ranking of 136th is obviously during daytime. If you check the index after 7:38 p.m. in India, probably we are in the top 10. Just thought of clarifying that also.
You brought the point, Captain. Wonderful. You know, I agree with you 100%. We must be around first or second there.
Must be. I am absolutely convinced.
Jatin, Dennis, if anything else is there, I think we are already overshot the time.
No, we are through. We are through.
So, Captain Saab, over to you, or to close the session, Captain Saab?
No, thank you so much. Like we said, so jokes apart, but the reality is pretty interesting topic. And I was glad to hear Dr. I didn't realize we have Dr. Ela Gupta also. Though my phone is on speaker, my wife was there and she said few things. My wife started pointing at me when she said that you think you are doing everything in life and your own importance and also. At the last moment, I realized I need to be careful. But anyway, I think that's also true. But coming back to session, I think like I said in the beginning, the whole messaging around this was, I think, excellent. And the reason I say so, if you look at the number of people, even now, though this was a 45-minute session, we have taken extra time, but I think it was so well connected. This is 1 hour, 15 minutes now, and everyone was onto it. So I think overall message was conveyed probably in the best possible way. Taking it further, like I said, we'll have few questions which when we introspect later on, when we think about it, we get these questions in our minds. So what we are thinking is now asking people that they can individually ping or write to the speakers if they get these questions, because this is one feedback which we are hearing, that people say that there's so much of substance at that point in time that they don't think, but later on they feel. And if these are specific to a particular subject, they will get back to you. So on that note, thank you everyone for your time, and thank you, Shashi, once again.
Thank you very much, Captain Saab. Next Monday, I will back on the session. Thank you, Dennis and Jatin, for organizing. And I don't know whether Samir sir and other people are there. Thank you very much, Colonel Ashu sir. Thank you very much for the opportunity.